Bellissimo.
Alright, so I'd heard that crossing has been improved in FIFA 18, and in playing a few games, it seems to be the case, so I'm happy about that. Let's hope it's not crazy, overpowered, undefendable, but here's what I like. So Pedro's coming down the wing here, gets a straightforward cross in to Conte, one touch into the back of the net. Seems like a pretty obvious play, but let me show you what happened a lot of times for me in FIFA 17. Mertens beats his man, gets into a great crossing position, and two things go horribly awry here. First of all, the receiver, I believe that's Dendonker, does not get into a position to receive the cross. He starts backing away from the play, which is completely idiotic. Secondly, the cross locks on to Nainggolan, who's like 15-20 yards off in the completely wrong direction. Let's take a look at another example. Insigne coming down the wing here. Straightforward. He's got a man in the middle, Gomez there. And notice the cross goes behind him straight to Chris Smalling. Okay, back to FIFA 18 demo now for an example of what seems to be improved crossing. Dybala coming down, crosses to Higuain, one touch shot into the back of the net. That's how crossing should be. So here's the thing. I've only played a few games of FIFA 18, as have we all, and this looks like crossing is improved. But the thing is, I could also show you some isolated clips from FIFA 17 where crossing was great and it worked as it should. The problem with FIFA 17 all along was consistency. Sometimes crossing works great. Other games, the crosses, as you just saw, were completely errant, or the players didn't make an appropriate run into space. Or another thing that happened a lot in FIFA 17 was because of input lag, input delay. If I get the cross in, the perfect cross, it goes right to the player, he's right in front of net, I'm pressing shoot before the ball gets there, and he takes a touch. That dribble and then wait to shoot, by then the goalie's already got it or the shot gets blocked. So like I've just shown in these couple examples, FIFA 18, it worked perfectly. Cross was accurate, player made the right run, one touch shot into the back of the net. That's how it should be. And let's hope that's how it is throughout FIFA 18 once the real game is out. Okay, let's talk about skill moves for a second. You know, I heard Dirty Mike talk about how skill moves are back and the drag back is overpowered now again, and I can't fully get on board with that. It might feel a tad better than FIFA 17, but I still feel like skill moves are definitely not overpowered, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying skill moves should be overpowered and break the game, but I'm just saying skill moves felt okay to me, but not great. But having said all that, the new skill move, the Cruyff turn, it's really good. It seems to be the one skill move that's probably going to be overused and overpowered this year. Here's a couple examples of it, and it's great. It solves a couple problems, because one of the things I've been complaining about for the last year or two is player movement and how it's so hard to turn your player's body in a 360 movement. They just struggle to make basic body movements. So one way to solve that problem is with skill moves. This Cruyff turn seems way more quick and effective than the drag back. It's really easy to do. Basically, you do a shot fake, and if your player is facing up, just angle your controller down, so no 180-degree direction from where you're facing, and do a shot fake, and you'll do the Cruyff turn. So it's really effective. Probably the best new skill move added to FIFA 18. And like EA typically does whenever they add something new, they overpower it. Alright, so one of the things that pissed me off at FIFA 17 that had never really been a problem before in any previous FIFA was defensive clearances, specifically how long they take to happen. You know, typically in any past FIFA, I press circle immediately, my player, defensive player, just immediately just kicks it out, clears it. It was great. But take a look at this moment in FIFA 17 here with Alexandro. The ball comes to him. Notice the power meter is completely charged up. I've already started pressing circle, and look how long it takes him just standing there doing nothing before he actually clears the ball. Now let's compare with what I've noticed so far in the FIFA 18 demo. The ball comes to David Luiz. Yes, I'm pressing circle. He does take a touch before he clears it, which ideally I would have rather him just first time cleared it out. But it was quick. That quick first touch, and then he cleared it out immediately. There wasn't any hesitation. There wasn't 1 or 2 seconds of him just standing there doing absolutely nothing. I only have limited examples of this so far in the FIFA 18 demo, but from what I've seen, it at least looks promising that this will not be a major problem in FIFA 18 like it was in FIFA 17. Let's hope for the best. Oh, so one thing I want to say about shooting is it felt good to me, and I felt like I was ripping some shots right into the corners, and the goalie didn't have a chance, and I was either just inside the post or hitting the post and ricocheting in. It felt better to me in that regard than FIFA 17, because I felt like there were so many times where I hit the post and it just bounced bounced out, or I hit a shot that's maybe a couple feet inside the post and the goalie, Butland would dive from 10 yards away and do this miraculous block and stop it. So sometimes it felt like I had to literally hit the perfect shot of like a 99.9% accuracy, because basically if I hit the post, it would bounce out, and if I didn't hit it in that absolute perfect sweet spot, the goalie or Butland, whoever, would block it. So far with the demo, at least, I feel like a lot of my shots are kind of, if I aim it generally toward the corners, it's going and hitting that sweet spot in the corners, whether upper 90 or bottom, lower left or right, and it feels good. It feels good to hit that rocket shot, hit the post, bounce in, and the goalie doesn't have a chance. All right, quick subs. This is something that probably sounded appealing to a lot of us when we first heard about it, and then now that I've actually had a chance to try it out and do it, I love it. It's kind of one of those things that now that it's in the game, we'll always wonder, how was this not in the game before? Why, like driven passes, for example, it's just something that needs to be in the game, and I think this is great. It's great that they finally added this, and I think the way that EA have designed it and built it is really good in terms of you set your first quick sub, your second quick sub, your third quick sub, strategizing and thinking forward by the second half how things will be playing out, who has the lowest stamina on your team, who you think you would probably want to sub first and then next. Super easy to set up and super easy to implement during the game. One thing I would say though is the moment comes to do a quick sub very quickly, and if you miss that little window of opportunity, you have to wait until you can always manually pause the game and go into the menu and change what you want to change, but I feel like it would be better if they increased that little window of opportunity where you could do a quick sub. That would be my only feedback to EA about that. And maybe even in that window, if it's long enough, like maybe after a goal is scored, maybe you have the opportunity to do 2 quick subs back to back. Right now, it looks like you can only do 1 quick sub at a time. So that's just a little note for potential improvement. But overall, I love it. I love the feature. I think they've executed it really well. I'm glad to see this in the game. It's great. All right, so like every year, they add in a few new celebrations. And one thing I want to say, though, is I think I just pressed X for the celebration from Aguero, and he just kind of did a default, whatever you call that thing, a sigh, a little sort of like, okay, all right. But I love it. I love it. I love the fluidity of the animation, and I think all the players were doing that animation when they scored the 3rd or 4th goal, and the game's already a lock, and they're just kind of like, yeah, all right, we got it. I like that as just kind of like a very realistic, subtle animation. So good on EA for adding in some nice subtlety in the animation there, and making some more tasteful celebrations, I guess you could say. Okay, I just want to touch on this one really quickly. I feel like EA have done a good job here with instant replays and the camera angles. It's much more cinematic. I like the cutaways to the crowd and the close-ups on the players, and you see in this example here with Robin, just this aerial view, and then they rotate the camera around for the slow-mo, and at the moment of truth there, shooting and curling it in. It's great. For those of us who are, YouTubers or Instagrammers or whatever, if it makes great replays for you already, it just saves you that much time of having to create your own replays after the game using different camera angles and whatnot. So just a minor thing, but it's a nice improvement. Glad to see that in FIFA 18. All right, let's talk about this new feature EA have dubbed Real Player Motion Technology. Okay, on the plus side, yes, they've done an amazing job of making Raheem Sterling look like Raheem Sterling and move like Raheem Sterling in the game, which is great. Now, I feel this is a bit gimmicky though, just because I don't really notice a lot of the other players. I mean, most players, I didn't really feel like, oh, wow, this player is moving exactly the way such and such moves. Or, Raheem Sterling's a guy who's got a very signature, the way he runs. Ronaldo does as well. And you do notice it in the game, which is great. I just don't know across the board if tons of players are really going to have a unique sort of running style and playing style. My guess is they probably have done it for a handful of players just to tout it as a new feature. But granted, this was the demo, so we only had a few teams to play with, so we were limited to a few players. But I feel like it'll probably be 5 or 10, maybe 15 players who are like, wow, that he's moving exactly like that player does, which is great. Kudos to EA for that. It's just to tout it as a major feature in the game, I think it might be kind of over promising what will actually be delivered, but we'll see. SkillerMoves.